Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on, about explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
This following critical incident briefing is intended to provide you with information about a recent incident. Deputy involved shooting is a traumatic event for all involved. Each deputy involved shooting is reviewed by independent investigators and difficult to watch. Viewer discretion is advised. On Sunday, March 13, 2022, at approximately 6:06 p.m., Palmdale Sheriff Station deputies were driving to a residence in the 6900 block of Patterson Way in the city of Palmdale in an attempt to locate a domestic violence suspect from an earlier incident. Two deputies, each driving their own patrol vehicles, were driving towards the residence when they observed a vehicle pull away from the front of the location. Believing the individual driving the vehicle might be the suspect involved in the domestic violence investigation, the deputies began to follow the vehicle. It was later determined the male driving the vehicle was not the domestic violence suspect and was later identified as 26-year-old Samuel Nunez. The deputies followed the vehicle until it eventually turned eastbound on Jackrabbit Way towards the cul-de-sac and conducted an abrupt U-turn at the end of the street. Nunez began to travel westbound on Jackrabbit Way, at which time he rammed the front end of one of the deputies' vehicle. Nunez then drove his vehicle in reverse and collided with the driver's door of the second deputy's vehicle while the deputy was still seated in his vehicle. Both deputies exited their vehicles and gave Nunez commands to stop. Nunez refused to comply and again rammed the front end of a patrol vehicle. Nunez revved the engine, and as Nunez's vehicle began to move, a deputy-involved shooting occurred.
Better stop! 1033, give me the pouch. Hey, what's the street here? Hey, don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! Hey, stop! Stop! Don't do it! Hey, what's the address here? What's the address here?
Nunez was struck by gunfire, and the vehicle slowly rolled backwards before coming to a stop at the curb. After a few minutes, the vehicle rolled off the curb and continued traveling backwards until it collided with the front wall of a residence. Assisting deputies were requested, and once sufficient personnel were on scene, deputies made a tactical approach. Deputies removed Nunez from the vehicle and assessed his injuries. Los Angeles County Fire Department paramedics arrived and administered medical aid to Nunez, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. It was later determined that Nunez was driving a stolen vehicle. Additionally, a loaded polymer 80 ghost gun, 9mm semi-automatic handgun, was recovered inside the vehicle. There were no other persons injured during the incident. Nunez had previous convictions for taking a vehicle without the owner's consent, possession of a controlled substance, possession of a controlled substance for sales, possession of a controlled substance in a jail, providing false identification to a peace officer, obstructing or resisting a peace officer, and for being a prohibited person in possession of a firearm. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has begun a thorough and in-depth investigation. Homicide investigators will continue to investigate this incident, which may include completing additional interviews, examining additional evidence and toxicology results, if applicable, and completing for...
All right, so police were going to a domestic violence call and saw a person that they thought was involved in it, but ended up it was a completely different person, had no connection to this fucking case at all, and he ran from them. You would be surprised about how many times that actually happens. Police go to make contact with someone because they think they're someone else. They think they're involved in some other thing, but they end up being a completely like different person, completely unrelated to whatever else was going on. But they were riding dirty, and they happened to get caught. This was like when I was a public safety diver. We would go dive in the river for a car in the river. Sometimes people would ask, like, very rarely was it someone was trying to back their boat into the water and it went out of gear. That has happened, but most of it was they're stolen vehicles and people dump them in the river to get rid of them. So I can't tell, I lost count how many times we had the intention going out to find a particular vehicle, and in the process of looking for this vehicle we find another fucking vehicle. Same with guns, like looking for a gun using a homicide, and the person said they threw it off the bridge or suspected they threw it off the bridge, going and looking for a particular gun, and then end up finding 20 other fucking guns that's completely unrelated to that case. Sometimes wild shit like that just happens. But they come across this guy, and of course he stops and runs, and reason being he's in a stolen fucking car, right? Like, he's riding dirty, and he's got a gun in the car. He's not supposed to have the gun. So this dude, when he started running from them, he probably thought that they knew exactly, either they knew exactly who he was, or they knew exactly that the vehicle he was in was stolen. There's a possibility that they could have made the stop, got out, talked to him, and found out, oh shit, this ain't the guy at all. Like, this has nothing to do with what we're doing. And then be like, oh, sorry for the confusion, man. We're gone. And then leave. And they never run his name, never figure out, anything about it. Now, it's not likely, because if they called out the plate to dispatch would run it and find out this reported stolen. But aside from that, like, it's conceivable they could have made contact with him and quickly realized, oh shit, this ain't the guy, or this guy has nothing to do with it, and then be like, oh, we got to get back to this domestic call where something's happening, and then leave, and then the guy could have got away. But obviously that didn't happen. I felt that in his mind he knew that they were after him. Like, he was probably thinking, oh, they're on to me, they're after me, and these guys had no fucking clue that this was a stolen car. So I wish they would have shown the home security camera footage first, because I think that gives a better overview of what transpired. So first off, you could tell, as soon as you got to here, you could tell this is a dead end fucking road. That's a cul-de-sac. Like, where the hell is this guy gonna go? Now, I don't know what's around these other houses. It's conceivable that, yeah, he could have just floored it and went forward and ran in between two houses and went through another person's yard and ended up on the next street over. That's plausible. But as far as roadway goes, pun intended, this is the end of the road, right? So why the fuck did he feel the need to continue following the guy and then turn around to go this way? Why didn't he just stop to begin with over in here and park his car long ways and then tell the other guy, hey, park off to the side and completely block the access or whatever? That dude wouldn't have any road to go. Now, would he have still rammed his car into them? Probably. Could he have backed up and went up on the sidewalk and just continued down this way? Possibly, but there's this vehicle down there. He wouldn't have made it through there very, very easily. He would have had to smash through them. Could he have gone on the sidewalk, gone through here, and then maybe, you can't see him between this car and this car, but it's conceivable he could have ran it up here and went out this opening right here for this driveway. Sure, that's plausible. But I think, in my head, the smartest thing to do for this officer right in here, just stop your fucking car. Stop it. Park it long ways. Bumper to close to this vehicle. Have the other officer park to the rear of that car and take up the slack, so to speak. Cover up, the hole if there's, one left. And then get out. Like, where's he going to go as far as road goes? Nowhere. It's a dead-end road. So, and I don't think that... Let me back this up, too. And this is a shitty position to be in. What if this dude wanted to start shooting? Well, hell, this side by side. That's not a great place to be in. So even continuing to go forward and just not stopping well ahead, you're putting yourself at a bad position. This is not a good position to be in. So if you ever come across a cul-de-sac and the person's running and they're continuing to go, there's no reason for you to turn around or continue to follow them and do the turnaround with them. That's fucking stupid. Just stop well before it, park the car long ways, diagonal, and get out. If they rams the car, he rams the car, so be it. Go from there, but just fucking Mickey Mouse following shit, I don't think cuts it. And then boom, he rams the car. So there is the potential, he didn't do it hard enough, but there is the potential to ram that side of the car so hard that you could render that door inoperable. And this officer would not be able to dismount from his vehicle because the door would be jammed shut. That's not a good position to be in either. Stuck in a fucking driver's seat right there, not able to open your car door and get out. Now, you can crawl across the middle and go out this side door, but that's not going to be the easiest thing to do, considering the fact there's a fucking laptop there in the middle, the big console's in the middle, the microphone cords right there. He could probably have items in the passenger seat, like a go bag or a seat organizer thing. It's not the greatest option, but it is an option to be able to egress from the vehicle, crawling out through the passenger side. So that's just a failure. Just way too much set up for bad things to happen. Should have just stopped well before right in here.
Hey, what's the street here? Get out of the car! Hey, stop! Get out of the car! What's the address here?
Nunez was struck by gunfire, and the vehicle slowly rolled backwards before coming to a stop at the curb.
I'd imagine at some point maybe his foot hit the accelerator again, because at this point he looks like he's kind of stopped on the curb right there. So I'd say at some point his foot added more pressure to the accelerator, and then obviously that caused him to go a little bit further back and then be stopped by that wall. I'll go to the officer's point of view. Old Crown Vic.
Stop!
It's kind of, in a way, it's kind of hard to believe that here it is, 2022, almost going to be able to be getting into 2023, and Crown Vics are still on the road. To the best of my knowledge, Ford stopped making Crown Vics in 2011. So there are cars over 10 years old. They're high mileage. They got a fuck ton of miles on them, but they're still out there. They're still out there doing work. So that's, in a way, that's a bit of a testament to the Ford Crown Vic. It is a workhorse for decades. It was the go-to police vehicle in most places. With that being said, there are, of course, newer, better vehicles out, and the fact that these things are still on the road, I think, helps counter the argument that these people come up with when they say police are just revenue generators. If the if the police were making so much fucking revenue off tickets, do you think they would be driving in old ass cars that are not made anymore, and the last one that was made was over a decade ago? No. Like, if they were making that much fucking money, they would be buying newer cars to drive around in. Anyway.
1033, get in the pouch. Hey, what's the street here? Hey, don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! Hey, stop! Stop! Don't do it! Hey, what's the address here? What's the address here? Stop! Stop! Don't do it! Hey, what's the address here? Do it! Hey! Stop! Stop! Don't do it!
Okay. Some people are going to have a problem with this use of force. They're going to say, oh, he was in his car. He wasn't doing anything. The only thing he was doing was just trying to escape. He was just trying to leave. Well, the way he was trying to leave was by using his several 100-pound vehicle as a battering ram. That several 100-pound vehicle is a weapon. That several 100-pound vehicle can quickly, seriously injure and or kill a person. So when he threw that car into reverse and was going to potentially throw it back in the drive and turn the wheel, where is that car going to be pointed towards? He couldn't go to the right because there's, as you see, vehicles over here. So where is he going to go? Back this up so we can see a better view. Where was he going to go once he backed it up and went this way? Well, fuck, he was going to come towards this officer. So this officer was for sure justified in using force to protect himself. Now, of course, people would argue, all he has to do is move. You just got to get out the way, blah, 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 blah. This guy is using a vehicle as a weapon. If he is going to ram police cars and potentially drive his car towards police officers, knowing that if you drive over a person, it can seriously injure and or kill them, then what's to stop him from doing this to other people? Would he have no problem running his car into a van with an elderly person in it or small children in it? No, I don't think he would have no problem with that whatsoever. He would do it quickly and easily with no remorse. So, he is a clear and present danger to society. He is a substantial risk to other people. So it is, in my opinion, 100% justified for this officer to use the amount of force that he used. I am not a proponent or believer in this whole fucking movement, I guess you could call it, of coddling and pandering to violent criminals. I see no point in it. Some people are, oh, well, they had a bad childhood. They were raised in a traumatic environment. They was abused. This happened to them. You know what? Shit fucking happens. I hate it they were abused as a kid. I hate it they had a shitty upbringing. But they're a goddamn adult now. They know that what they're doing is fucking wrong. They know that what they're doing can cause injury and or death to people. They want to fuck around, then by God, they can fuck around and they can find out. You want to play stupid fucking games? Win a stupid fucking prize. Go at it. So I have no problem whatsoever with this level of force being used.
Do it! Hey, what's the address here? What's the address here?
Motherfucker ain't gonna be stealing no more people's cars, is he? Now that sucks for whoever had their car stolen, because one,
The address here.
I don't know what he did to steal the thing. He potentially could have, broke the steering column and went in through the ignition and did all that. So, he could have fucked the car up to begin with to be able to get it started. He could have caused other damage to the vehicle, and if it would have been recovered, minor problems whatsoever. But still, that person he stole this car from, they're without a car. That could have been their only means of transportation. They could have lost their fucking job over the fact they had their car stolen, and they had no way to get to work. They couldn't afford to pay an Uber driver day by day to take them to work. They couldn't afford a cab to go to work day by day. So one, he's going to put this person at a disadvantage. Two, even if he had abandoned the vehicle after stealing it, there could have been some damages done to the vehicle through that stealing process. But now he has rammed police cars and has damaged the vehicle, and he's been shot inside the vehicle. And it took them a while to get to him. They had to form a tactical team before they made that approach. So he is bled out in this car. I don't know if you've ever tried to clean up blood and blood stains, but it's not that incredibly easy. It can actually leave stains and be hard to get out. So what's that owner going to do now that this vehicle gets recovered and it goes back to the owner? Well, shit. They're going to, if they can't afford to have it professionally cleaned, now they're going to be riding around in a biohazard contaminated vehicle. You don't know what fucking diseases this dude has. And the fact that he's a criminal, he's out stealing cars, not making very wise decisions in life, it's very conceivable that he probably never made a whole lot of good decisions throughout his life, and has probably had unprotected sex with prostitutes, has probably done drugs, shared needles with other users, etc. So he could have HIV, he could have hepatitis, anything he could have. And it's more likely that he has it because he's a fucking dirtbag criminal. So that person who's owns this car, once they get it back and they can't afford to have it professionally cleaned, now they have to ride around with that shit in there. And copious amounts of blood leaves a smell. And then the process that the owner just didn't get it back the day after. It fucking set in an impound lot somewhere, and that shit fucking is really smelling now. And it's crusted and caked into the carpet and the seats, so it's going to be super hard to get out. That sucks for that person. Hopefully, their insurance company will be able to total the vehicle out, and they'll be able to get a new one. Or at least, the insurance company would be able to pay for him to have, or her, which one, I don't know, pay for them to be able to have a rental car while this car gets repaired. Has the outside damage fixed, if he went through the column and cracked it, have that fixed, and then have it go to a professional, like crime scene cleaning company or decon company to thoroughly clean the inside of that vehicle and remove all biohazardous material.
Hey, what's the address here? What's...
There were no other persons injured during the incident. Nunez had previous convictions for taking a vehicle without the owner's consent, possession of a controlled substance for sales, possession of a controlled substance in a jail, providing false identification to a peace officer, obstructing or resisting a peace officer, and for being a prohibited person in possession of a firearm.
Now, I like the fact that they are throwing out what his prior criminal history is. There are some agencies out there that have taken the ride the fucking fence policy, don't stoke any fires, don't do anything that could cause anybody to get in their goddamn feelings, going into this coddling and pandering to the fucking criminals and their family, and they don't mention any of this shit. That is wrong, in my opinion. If these people have criminal backgrounds, the public needs to know about this. It helps the public better understand what's going on, who they're dealing with. And based off all these charges on this guy, I think that would help the public better understand, like, hey, we're better off without this fucking oxygen thief. And we are. We as a society are better off now that this guy's not around anymore.
Firearm. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department has incident results system.
Well,
80 ghost gun, 9mm.
A ghost gun. Ghost gun. So California, these agencies in California, they're all about pointing out, oh, we got a ghost gun. Other agencies, they don't act like they give a shit that it's a ghost gun or anything like that, because in reality, it doesn't really fucking matter if they got a ghost gun or not. I've seen agencies post pictures of guns and everything, and it's clearly a fucking ghost gun that the guy's sitting up there, but they don't make any mentioning of it. They don't get any hoo-ha over it or anything like that. It's only these agencies in California that go nuts over these ghost guns. So what is a ghost gun? If you're a gun person and you're watching this channel, you already know what the hell a ghost gun is. But some of you who are watching, you may not know what the hell a ghost gun is. So here in America, we have gun laws, and we have federal gun laws, and then each state has, to some varying degree of less or more laws than what our federal has, as far as gun control goes. So some states got more stricter laws than what the federal stuff says, and there's some states that have stuff that basically the federal stuff says, and that's about it. Which is good. The less bullshit, the better. Now, I'm not saying completely do away with gun control or anything like that. I obviously think that we should still have laws that, prohibited persons like, violent felony offenders should not be legally allowed to possess them. But some of these other gun laws just don't make any fucking sense, because all they do is end up hurting the law-abiding people. And it prevents the law-abiding people from being able to have them. But the criminals, it doesn't affect, because they're still going to do criminal shit and still get them. So, with that being said, there was a law that went out. I don't know when this law went into effect. But as far as firearms manufacturers here in this country, or even outside this country, if they're going to be selling their merchandise within this country, guns have to have a serial number on them. And when you say, oh, it's got to have a serial number on it, or it's got a serial number on it, whatever, that's not too far-fetched of a thing to think that, like, oh my God, that's so unique that, the gun's got to have serial numbers on them. There's lots of shit that you buy that has a serial number on it. The TV has a serial number on it. If you're watching this with a cell phone or a laptop or even a desktop computer, those things have serial numbers on them. Lots of stuff has serial numbers on it. And ultimately, the reason why these things have serial numbers on them is for the company itself when they start getting calls about defective shit. Like, oh, this damn thing stopped working, blah, 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 like cars. That allows that manufacturer to go back and be like, all right, so we got a shit ton of phone calls about this model, and these serial numbers mean that these are the things that were produced between these dates. But we don't have any problems outside of that range. So they know, hey, we'll do a recall on this, and we can make it super specific. If you bought this product that was made between, 2010, 2012, it's defective, or, there's a recall, whatever, right? It helps with quality control. Now, the second benefit to serial numbers on those things is it helps police identify those things after they've been stolen. Your TV, your laptop, your phone has a serial number. If it gets stolen, then that information can go in a police report, and if police come across items and they run those numbers, it'll pop up in the system as, hey, this was reported stolen. Then they can seize it and give it back to you. Does having a serial number on it before anything happens help you in any way? No, not at all. Unless, you do your own kind of inventory thing at home, and you got like an Excel spreadsheet, or you do it in an email format or whatever, and you record all your stuff that has serial numbers on it, and you retain that for if something bad happens. So that's the only time that it's useful, before something bad happens. When it comes to guns, what does a serial number mean before something bad happens? Nothing. Nothing at all. Police can do jack shit with a fucking serial number. It only matters until after something bad happens. So, in order to sell guns in this country, all guns have to have serial numbers on them. Now, there are some guns out there that do not have serial numbers on them, and that's perfectly fine. These are older guns that when it was manufactured, they just didn't have a serial number process to do it. It still has other things in it, or, etched into it or stamped into it, has make, model, stuff like that, caliber, but as far as serial number, it just doesn't exist for it. So it's perfectly legal to do that. You can build your own gun. And so long as you're not building a bunch of guns and selling them, you can have guns that you've made that don't have a serial number on them. Perfectly legal. Now, it depends on what state you go into. Some states may say that you can't do that. Some states don't give a shit. So that's what this ghost gun is. It's just a gun that was made by someone, and because it was made by someone, it doesn't require a serial number to be on it. These guns, when the person buys them, they're not a gun when they buy them. It's just a chunk of plastic is all it is. It doesn't even work. You can't even make the thing fucking go boom when you take it out the box. It is physically incapable of going boom when you take it out the box. They are known as 80% lowers. That means they are 80% completed as far as working order, or completion towards working order. So you see this dot and this dot right there, those are pins, and there's another one that goes right back in this area. Those holes do not exist when you buy this thing. And when you buy this thing, you can see this line right here that I'm showing with the cursor here. So you can tell that little border right there. This gray part is the frame. This upper part is the slide. The ATF considers this lower portion to be the firearm. So this top portion right here, the slide that has the barrel in it and the sights on it, you can buy 100 of these fucking things all by themselves from a gun store, and you never have to do any official paperwork with it, because these top pieces are not considered to be a firearm. It's just this lower piece that is considered to be the firearm. So this company, or these companies that make these things, they will send you this lower piece that looks somewhat like it does right now, except it doesn't have any internals in it. It doesn't have a trigger in it. It doesn't have the magazine release or none of the spring stuff in it. And these holes where these pins go into do not exist. It's just a complete piece of plastic on the outside here. You can't even put a pin through it. Like I said, no holes exist in it whatsoever. So it's known as 80% lower. When you buy this thing, it comes with a jig, like a thing that you put the frame in to hold it in place, and it will not move at all within that jig. And in that jig, there are holes that line up with where you need to make holes in this frame. And you take that jig, you set it under a drill press, and you drill holes into this thing to make holes for the pin. So you get the little jig that comes with it, and you get a couple of the drill attachments. So you're literally making your own gun at that point. It's already 80% there. You just have to complete the other 20% to make it fully workable. So because it's 80% and it's not a fully working gun, it's not even technically a gun at that point, anybody can buy these things. Convicted felons can go in, and some states may have language that prevent it. I know in Kentucky there's no specific language that says a felon cannot go out buy at 80% lower. They can possess this thing all day. They could buy the frame and even the slide and put the slide on top of the frame and still not have anything inside the bottom piece, no trigger, no holes, nothing, and it still be legally able for them to possess that. Now, who the fuck would buy this and never fully make it? Would be no one. It would be stupid to do that. But technically speaking, legally speaking, at least here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, a convicted felon could buy a ghost gun, never drill the holes in it, never be able to put the trigger in it, assemble the top piece to the bottom piece, it looked like a damn gun, and carry it around, and could not charge that person for possession of a firearm because it is not a completed firearm. So, with that being said, that's how some felons are getting in possession of these. They can legally buy these chunks of plastic, and then later on, they drill the holes. Now, the minute they drill the holes and put the stuff in there, actually, even before they put the stuff in there, the minute they drill the fucking holes in this thing, it now becomes a firearm. And they are now a felon in possession of a firearm. So, that's what 80% lowers are. They're halfway guns, I guess you could say. Like, they're halfway being complete, but they're not there all the way. And so they're not...
semi-automatic handgun was recovered inside the vehicle.
They're not, considered technically, legally a firearm at that point. So, and because of that, they don't have to have a serial number on them when you buy them. So you can buy 20 of these kits, and not a fucking one of them is going to have a serial number on it. Well, now I think they do, because Biden had passed some order or whatever saying something about ghost guns. I can't remember it. I can't keep up with it. I don't even care for ghost guns. It's not my thing. I think it's kind of like fucking Legos and shit. In my opinion, if you want a good fighting gun, buy one from Glock. Buy one from Smith & Wesson. And specifically within Smith & Wesson M&P Shield, buy one from SIG HK. That's it. Like, those are the only fucking ones I recommend for fighting purposes, save your life purposes. Anything else, I don't recommend. Now, sure shit, don't recommend a fucking ghost gun. It's just too many chances for things to go bad, in my opinion, with that. So, like I said, I can't remember exactly what the law was or what the executive order thing that Biden passed was, but I think he passed something that says that now these companies, when they sell these things, it has to have a serial number on it. If it's going to be sold from a store or something. I can't remember. I can't remember the exact details of it. But anyway, aside from that, the serial number, or the lack thereof, what does that matter? It doesn't matter shit. Like, even if it has the serial number on it, what's that doing beforehand? Fucking nothing. It only matters until after something bad has happened. So right now, as it is, you can go to a gun store an FFL dealer, and buy a gun and walk out with it today, assuming that you live in a state that doesn't require you to wait so many days to take possession of that gun. If you live in a state that so long as you pass that background check, you can walk out that day. So, like here in Kentucky, you can go into a gun store, buy a Glock 17, pass your NICS background check, and walk out the door with it. What happens with that serial number? Well, that gun dealer, on his paperwork that he has to keep and maintain per the ATF, he writes down all your information, your name, date of birth, social, all that shit, and then also writes down the make, model, and serial number of that gun. And that paperwork goes into their filing cabinet. And they are required to keep that paperwork on their property or at the gun store for a certain amount of time. I think it's 5 years that they're required to keep that paperwork at the gun store. Past that 5 years, they can burn it, shred it, wipe their ass with it, whatever. They are no longer required to keep that shit. The only reason they're required to keep that for that amount of time is so that if the ATF wants to, they can come and inspect the paperwork for the last few years. None of that stuff gets entered into a database. No one takes this paperwork and types in your name, date of birth, social, and the name, make, model, serial number of the gun that you got. Literally, the only recorded information about that gun and you is on a piece of paper at the gun store. And after 5 years, they can purge it. So if you bought a gun at a gun store 10 years ago, I'd say that probably you got a good 90% to 100% chance that that paperwork does not exist anymore. And there is nothing on file anywhere that indicates that this gun with serial number blah, 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 blah is tied to you. Just simply doesn't exist. So how does that fucking help anybody? It doesn't. Even if there was a database, let's say there was a database and the gun store had to enter that information in. How does that help anybody? It doesn't. It doesn't help at all until something bad happens, like the gun gets stolen. And then law enforcement, if they come into contact with it, they can determine that it for sure is yours and then give it back to you and then charge that person they caught it with. That's it. It's not preventing any fucking crimes from happening. It's not preventing anybody from dying. But what it can help go towards is making it very, very easy to target people who own guns and go after them to confiscate them. You remember a thing called World War II? You remember a thing called, or a person called Adolf Hitler and a whole group of people known as Jews? Well, before Hitler put them in fucking train cars and gassed them and took them to fucking concentration camps, before all that happened, he did gun control. Before, they were able to own guns. But then they started making new rules, blah, blah, blah. And then it turned out to where they started confiscating guns. And then they knew where to get the guns from, who had them. And then, once they confiscated all the guns and said that only police and military could have them, then they were able to easily go into these neighborhoods, kidnap people, and fucking murder them. Because they had already taken their guns away from them and they had no way of fighting back. That's the only benefit to a gun registration database, is if someone wants to be the next fucking Hitler. So all these gun control people When they start talking about we need a gun database, we need this, we need that, they're really saying they need something to become Hitler. That's basically what they're saying. They want to know who's got the guns. That way, when it comes time to take them away, they know who to take them away from, and they know who to fucking put on a goddamn train car and gas them. Never, ever, fucking ever should there ever be a national gun registry. And these people who call for this shit, which is mostly all the fucking liberal left, these are the same people who in one breath will call for gun control, gun registration, gun bans, blah, 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 will then turn around and call people like Trump a Nazi and insinuate that someone like Trump is going to round up people of color and exterminate them like fucking Hitler did. If you 100% legitimately believe that someone like Trump is going to do that shit, why in the fuck would you want to advocate for goddamn gun control and banning fucking guns? Don't you want something to fucking fight back with? Do you want to be able to shoot a motherfucker in the face when they come to your house with the intentions of dragging you out and gassing you? That's why I cannot take anyone from the fucking left serious. They are so goddamn fucking stupid. It is fucking infuriating that I have to share fucking space with them. It is fucking infuriating that they breathe my fucking oxygen. It really is. Now I'm gonna stop right here because I'm starting to get into a rant, and it's sometimes that shit gets under my fucking skin and annoys the fuck out of me. Alright, nothing else to talk about in this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.